Today on the Fairy BOSSmother Show, you've made a lot of notes. Can I see your notes? There you go. We got 1, 2, 3. I meet with Angela Bronza, a fashion stylist who spent a decade in the fashion industry.
I graduated with fashion design degree. I worked as a fashion designer in New York for 10 plus years. So I actually saw how much waste was produced, like even in the making of our clothes.
Working with major labels and navigating the world of high-end styling.
I help people clean their closets, get rid of things that aren't serving them anymore.
Angela thinks she's here to help women through sustainable fashion. But here's what she's not doing. What's going to make you different, Angela, from all of these other people who want to make it in fashion is you've already made it in fashion. She's not talking about her New York fashion route. She's not sharing the names. And she's definitely not owning her authority. Your key word is sustainability, and this is why it's important, and sustainability and sustainability. You've lost your audience already. Angela wants to fight for a better fashion industry, but can she do this while staying quiet about how she's been doing this deeply already?
I'm taking away validation that what my internal thoughts were correct, and just the idea of like, okay, now it's time to build it.
Do you think I can stop her from treating this as a side hustle and finally step into the role as the expert she already is? Angela, you need to look deep inside yourself and saying, this is what I want to be known for. Now I'm making that shift. Let's meet Angela Bronza. Now, before we meet Angela, I usually ask my guests a few questions about their business so I can see what they say about themselves and how they talk about their business and really reveal some of the gaps before the interview. Let's take a look. So when I asked her about who she is and what she does, Angela says, I'm a fashion stylist and sustainability expert that helps entrepreneurs take the stress out of getting dressed. I love working with female solopreneurs and business owners, in addition to women who want to incorporate sustainability in their wardrobes. All right. There's one big word that Angela keeps mentioning over and over again, and that's the word sustainability. And you know that the word sustainability can be really, really fluffy. And if you don't know the true depth of what that message actually holds, you're completely missing the point. So I think I've got to help Angela find a way to turn that word sustainability into something a little bit more sexier. When I asked her, what are your main goals for your business right now? Angela says, grow. I love helping women feel good in their bodies and in their wardrobes. I serve women so that I can positively impact the community and the planet with my knowledge. Yes, Angela, tap into that knowledge, girl. Once Angela fully accepts everything that she knows about the fashion industry, this is how I'm going to be able to position her as someone who just helps women feel confident, to a woman who knows the dirty secrets about the fashion industry and how that has an impact on the women she's about to work with on scene. When I asked Angela, what are the biggest challenges you're facing right now? Angela said, I'm still working my 9 to 5, so ramping up my styling business while working all day is a challenge. Yeah, you betcha, girl. My goal is to transition completely into full-time entrepreneurship by the end of 2025. Filling my calendar with clients and showing up consistently on social media are two of my biggest tasks this year. Right, I'm going to be really curious to see how Angela actually shows up online, specifically on social media, because what she's describing to me sounds like absolute burnout. The fact that she wants all of these clients to be booked up on her calendar, these sound like one-to-one clients, meaning there's no longevity on how long this client will work with her. It's a one and done situation, whether it's in person or virtual. Angela needs something a little bit more deeply where she can dive further into their client journey and build roots with the client that she's with, as opposed to just finishing with them on the spot. So let's see what we can do and how her personal brand relates back to that. Last but not least, I asked Angela if she's done any work on her personal branding, and she said, what you see on the website, Instagram, and Pinterest with clients to make style boards is basically what her personal brand is. I am working to build a network of other professionals in Chicago and across the US. So even though Angela is a stylist herself, it sounds like she hasn't done much work on her personal branding, but I'm here to help. Let's meet Angela Bronza. Angela, welcome to the Fairy BOSSmother Show. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Well, I know this has been a long time coming, Angela, and a little birdie told me, also known as you, that you've been watching some of the episodes to actually get prepared for today.
I did.
So how, like 1 to 10, like nervous being 10 or excited being 1? I don't know.
I would say more excited, less nervous. I feel a little bit like I need to put my art school kid hat back on and like remember critiques, right?
Mm.
Because, taking feedback can be hard, but it's so valuable. So,
Yeah.
yeah, excited.
Well, speaking about taking feedback, do you want the full boss mode where my gloves are off and I'm just give you everything I have? Or do you want the slightly softer kitty gloves on?
I'm going to go gloves off.
Angela, here's the challenge. Gloves are off.
Fighter mode. Let's go.
Fighter mode. Let's go. So, Angela, tell us, who are you and what do you do?
So, my name's Angela Bronza. I have a styling business. So, I'm a fashion stylist and I help people take the stress out of getting dressed. So, I approach it with a sustainability kind of mindset where I help people clean their closets, get rid of things that aren't serving them anymore, and shop for newness, but all within the realm of helping them figure out what their personal style is and really loving their clothes longer and, doing whatever they can to reduce waste.
Oh, fun. That sounds like so much fun. I absolutely love what you do. I'm curious to know though, Angela, how did this all begin for you?
Yeah, so I actually I went to school. I went to art school, I mentioned. I was a fashion kid, so I graduated with fashion design degree. I worked as a fashion designer in New York for 10 plus years and had the great opportunity of working with manufacturers in New York City. So I
Nice.
actually saw how much waste was produced,
Mm.
like even in the making of our clothes. So we know how much we waste post-consumer waste, right? And so that started to wear on me, and I felt like I was part of the problem and not part of the innovative arm of where fashion is going. Fast forward, I met my fashion stylist mentor and was like, hey, if I help people style themselves and figure out how to use what they already have, they can love their things longer, they can make better choices for themselves, and maybe that's how I can make the most impact. So that's kind of how I ended up where I am.
All right, so 10 years in New York doing what you were doing. So when did you finally decide, you know what, this sucks. This is not what I expected to be, and I could do something here. What was that catalyst for you, like really in your gut?
Yeah, so I had worked with a couple of small, beautiful fashion brands, and they failed for business reasons, not because they didn't have great products. And so that actually sent me back to grad school. I got a master's degree from Parsons, and my plan was to be more of a consultancy helping small brands. And life happened, didn't quite happen that way. I started doing product design and development for a gift company instead, but knew I needed to get back somehow. And so the catalyst for styling was really meeting my stylist mentor. So she coaches other stylists how to build styling businesses.
Okay, so I would love to know, Angela, what does your wardrobe look like right now?
So I probably have more. I mean, I worked in the fashion industry for a long time, so I have stuff that I made that, I won't get rid of, but it's extensive, but I do go through it fairly regularly and it's a mix. So I kind of have a sort of eclectic style, maybe leaning a little bit minimalist, but most of the stuff that I have is secondhand. So I really love loving things that have already gone through one user. It's a way I can afford better quality than if I were to buy it from that designer in the very beginning. But yeah, it's super fun.
The eclectic minimalist.
Yeah.
We're gonna start using that as a nickname for you. Angela,
Okay.
Bronza, eclectic, minimalist. And this is really what I do. When you're working with your clients, what is the biggest problem that you see come up on like an ongoing basis?
I would say people just not sure what they want their style to be,
Mhm.
maybe they've gone through a life change, a physical change, their needs are different. Even post-COVID, all of our needs are different, right? We dress differently now than we used to, and they just don't know where to go and how to start addressing that.
Well, it seems like there's a lot of people that you help, then, a lot of different types of people. But what is your favorite client?
My favorite client is female entrepreneur, and that's because usually these women are the face of their businesses. So they, have social accounts that they need to show up on. They have to have brand shoots where they take photographs for their website. And there's an added level of pressure there, right? So we all feel some pressure to show up in the world as the person we are. But then when you throw business into it, it can be even more nerve-wracking. And so I love to help women feel really confident and not worry about their wardrobe and worry about the things that, matter to them, like their business and whatever it is that they're working.
I mean, because a lot of it is a mindset thing, right? When you are working from home, for example, you've got no one to show off to. You have no audience, no pressure. But then when you're sitting at your desk and you're just in your pajamas, cozy lounge mode, your mind is not going to be as productive as when you're out of the office and properly dressed up for yourself.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
I want to learn a little bit more about your experience working with these women entrepreneurs. What are the mistakes that they're making that you just think, oh my God, I'm so fed up of women doing this one thing. So done with it.
I think we all hold, especially as women, baggage in our wardrobe, right? There's a lot of feelings wrapped up with our clothing and a lot of shame and guilt. This doesn't fit me anymore. I really loved it. I don't want to, or I bought this and I haven't worn it. Like, oh, I can't get rid of it because I haven't even worn it yet. So there's a lot of feelings wrapped up with that. I would say the biggest mistake I see is people not giving themselves permission to just, if it's not working, pass it on to the next person. And the things that they want to keep for sentimental reasons, I mean, I certainly have those. I mentioned, clothing that I designed previously. Put them away. You don't need to see them in your closet every day. No one wants to walk in and feel overwhelmed. That's a horrible way to start your day. And if it doesn't fit you, it shouldn't be front and center. Like if you want to keep it because you designed it, because you wore it to a really special event and you want to pass it on to a niece, a daughter, whatever, or just keep it for archive purposes, that's absolutely fine, but get it out of your wardrobe. Store it somewhere and clear your mental space.
Yeah. And you mentioned passing it down to your daughter or family member. Would they really want what you have? And would they want a lot of that? Maybe one piece that's sentimental, but not the entire damn thing. It's going to go to donation anyway.
Totally, totally. And yeah, absolutely correct. There are some pieces that are worth keeping, right? Probably not a whole wardrobe worth of those things. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with being sentimental about certain pieces, but just get them out of your everyday space.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Angela, we're talking a lot about other people and other people's problem that you fix. What made you decide, you know what, I am ready to be on the Fairy BOSSmother Show? I want to hear what she has to say.
So I created my website before I started taking clients about 2 years ago. And so I would love to hear your opinion about, my business brand is still very personal. People are hiring me. So there is a lot of me in my Style with Angela brand. And I made my website when I only had images of me, right? So I want to figure out how to better balance my client and their needs on my site versus just featuring me. And I think especially because I haven't updated it in 2 years, I feel like I haven't hit that note. So it's definitely time for a refresh. And I'd love to hear your thoughts as like someone who hasn't seen it before, right?
Yeah, exactly. And, the gloves are off, so I cannot wait to see what the other side of this looks like. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Angela, I want to hear a little bit more about your future. What does that look like for you? Where do you want to go with your business and just with your general big goals in your life?
So I am still working a 9 to 5 job. My goal, anyone from work, earmuffs. My goal is to leave my 9 to 5 this calendar year. So really as soon as possible. So I want to be booking more regular clients and so that I can fully transition. My second big goal attached to that is to offer a lower ticket item, lower cost price ticket item. So, my services are not the cheapest. I don't want to be the cheapest. That I'm not trying to be the Walmart of styling. But that said, I still do want to help people who maybe are willing to do it themselves, but just don't know how to do it, right? So I do have online course kind of template started, but I'd like to offer that lower ticket item that can be running, while I sleep, because who doesn't want revenue while they sleep? And so I would say those are like the two biggest goals: to transition fully into styling and to build this lower ticket item within the year so that I can be both working with clients one-on-one and also, helping people at their own speed.
Okay, and then what?
and then take over the world. I also want to be seen as an expert in the sustainable fashion world. So I'd love to be doing speaking engagements. My goal is really as much impact as I can make in terms of improving the waste in the industry, both pre and post consumer, helping to open people's eyes about the things they could be doing that really make a difference. Like every small action that each of us makes can have such a big impact beyond just me doing all the things, right?
Yeah,
There is
definitely.
no perfect in sustainability, and we all learn from each other. So I think it's so important to pour into the community, what we know so that we can like rise together, right? Yeah, so more speaking engagements and yeah, just really trying to be a force for good in an industry that definitely needs some improvement.
But, I mean, there's so many big players though in the fashion world, hella competitive, and
True.
it's just constantly there's new designers, new companies that are popping up, and there's a lot of competition against, fast clothes at the moment, fast fashion, and there's a lot going against the fashion industry. But there's a lot of advocates as well, just like you, who are sustainability warriors, right?
Yes, I like that.
Yeah, sustainability warrior. And Angela, I wondered, because of your background is something that's really unique, especially in New York. Having worked in New York for a decade is a really big win for you. I know you're not based in New York right now. And in your questionnaire, you mentioned that you not only work locally, but you also want to work virtually, which kind of gives you access to the world, right? Beyond just America. And you mentioned about how you want to be able to help lower waste, just helping the production side of things. Have you ever considered doing some sort of like side work with those businesses who know that their production can be a lot more streamlined? When it's streamlined, not only are they reducing waste, but also their bottom dollar expands because they're not spending so much time, money, and effort on the production of these clothes.
So yes, I forgot I told you that. So
I don't think you did. I was just thinking that's honestly, Angela, that's where I see you because working one to one with women, I think that's something that you can take on a very limited edition case because that's something that will keep your business running. And you mentioned how you wanted to have low ticket offer as well. Absolutely. But don't just go for high ticket, low ticket. Have a range. So you have a low ticket item, which doesn't take you a lot of time to deliver. It doesn't cost you anything to deliver, and it gives a lot of impact to people who can't afford like four figures to be able to work with you. Then you have your mid-range. Your mid-range takes a little bit more time, maybe a little bit more time, maybe like 2 hours extra, nothing crazy, but it gives you a significant bump in your day-to-day work. And then you have your high ticket where you are more in person. You are actually doing, I don't see you as a personal stylist. And I feel like some of the things that you're describing makes me think, oh, she's a personal stylist, not I don't know, that sustainability warrior. I don't see you as a consultant right now, but I feel like that's where we need to level you up is you're a consultant who work with the fashion industry to reduce X, Y, and Z. Here's the problems that I fix.
yeah.
But if you wanted to work with me one to one, boom, boom, boom. Here's what I can do for you.
So I have been planning a second wing of my business, which would be consulting with, I'd like to focus on startups and small to medium sized fashion brands. Mostly I worked at small brands. I did work at one mega brand. So I worked at Ralph Lauren. And when I was going to grad school, because I needed to be working regular hours, right? So I went to a big company where you can work regular hours and went to school in the evenings. And, there's a lot of fantastic stuff that goes around their business. But I remember talking about I didn't work on this line, but their polo brand, which is kind of their medium to lower end brand, right? It's in the middle. They were talking about ordering like 70,000 of a polo. And I was like, the world does not need 70,000 of anything.
Yep.
Now, of course, they're a worldwide sold brand and have stores all over the place and whatever. But yeah, so being a huge company like Ralph Lauren is much harder to turn that ship, right? It's like starting to work with small and medium sized brands and starting off doing things in a better way or making those shifts early on is so much easier to achieve like sustainable benchmarks than to try to be the Titanic turning. Also, then you get into, publicly traded, and it's like a whole thing that I don't really want to be involved in. So yes, I am planning on building another wing of my business that is consulting, especially on product development. So stop me if I'm getting too nitty gritty into the fashion industry, but we all know fashion design, right? Like that's the thing people go to school for and it seems so glamorous, but there's so many other jobs that are not talked about in fashion. One of them that people don't know very much is product development. So that is taking the sketch and actually like building it with the vendor who's sewing it, helping to pick all of the fabrics, the trims, how it will be stitched. It's all the details about how the garment is made. And any company needs to have a written document, which we call a tech pack, that they can take this document and say, hey, this is how you make this shirt. We want 100 of them or 2,000 of them or whatever. And the importance of that is to have that document so that you could potentially go to different manufacturers and make the same quality thing. And so
it's a blueprint essentially, right? Yeah.
Exactly. It's a fashion blueprint. And so I wanted to build a second arm of my business, basically helping people to make those tech packs, those fashion blueprints, and make them in the most sustainable way possible in terms of fabrics and all of that stuff, so that they can be making responsibly instead of, the lowest, just getting it out into the world.
Angela, what's stopping you from doing that then?
It's just, so I mentioned I'm still working my 9 to 5. So it's just figuring out how to balance styling business and consulting business. So I actually made a portfolio for the product development piece with some of these sample tech packs. I just need to refine it and start sending it places.
Yeah.
I would love your opinion. So I was planning on just using my one Instagram account because it already talks about sustainable fashion. It doesn't specifically talk to a more corporate customer, but I have to figure out where to put my efforts and energy, right? And I don't think it makes sense to be talking about the same message in two different
places. Not. Definitely one place. I think you're playing too small right now with everything that you're sharing with me, because the Style with Angela, number one, your domain name, it's giving me, I'm a personal stylist vibe already. And you're not the only one to use the name Style with insert my first name. There are so many individuals, specifically women, who use that business name, to say the least. And it's not something that's very memorable. But Angela, your full name, Angela Bronza. Okay, can we talk about your last name, please? Because
sure.
Your name has such a kick to it. And I feel like right now you're underusing your entire identity. And you mentioned, oh my God, am I allowed to talk about Ralph Lauren? Or, am I supposed to talk about this? Or will this scare people off? I think just rip the Band-Aid off and talk fully about your experience. Because what's going to make you different, Angela, from all of these other people who want to make it in fashion is you've already made it in fashion. All right. Can we just make that a declaration right now? Yeah, you are already in fashion. You've made it in fashion. It is clearly your life's work. It's not something that you just thought, I just happened to fall in, I've happened to fall into this thing. No, you strategically decided and chosen this field. You went really deep into it and went, yikes, there's a lot of problem here. And then you started to kind of undervalue what you can offer by working only one-to-one with people, only helping people individually, not saying that's not right. And I'm not underplaying anything that you do with your clients, but I think we can level you up in a way that your impact has a bigger goal. And if people still wants to work one-to-one with you, Angela, because you're Angela freaking Bronza, we want to make sure that you get fully compensated for your one-to-one time. It can be virtual, in person. I would probably say if they want to work in person with you, Angela, you got to raise that price all the way up. That volume needs to be really, really high. And this is how you're able to transition away from the 9 to 5 to a business where you are fully respected, where you are fully owning your entire work history, completely. And you know what? If you want to name and shame, do it. Everyone else is doing it. Why can't you? And you've seen it firsthand what happens, right?
Yeah, I do own angelabronza.com. I have
Good.
for a very long time. I had like a shell of it for a while. Nothing's up there now, but I do own that. So I was thinking about using that, definitely for the consulting part. What would you recommend in terms of a digital presence, an online presence in terms of website? So yes, both businesses are speaking to fashion sustainability, but they are two very different customers, right? So do you recommend something like we land on, let's say, angelabronza.com? Hey, are you a style client? Click here. Or hey, are you a corporate client? Click here. Or do you recommend keeping them separate? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think someone told me that time is a limitation for them. And because of time, you're not able to jump on this bigger goal. So you asked me, you answered that question yourself. Do you have time to manage two websites?
No. What I was planning on doing for the consultancy was really just having this portfolio that I can send to people and, obviously a resume and working on it that way and not starting right off the bat with a website.
Well, you know what? I get the feeling positioning is your problem with your website and with the way you are expressing what it is that you do, what specific problem that you fix for a very specific type of audience. And I get the feeling that you have completely filtered yourself out so that the way you present yourself is very broad. I'm going to see if I'm right or not. Okay. But is that an accurate description before I have even looked at your website and your social media?
Possibly. Possibly. I'd like to see what you see.
Right. Let's do it then. Let's check out Angela's website. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Right, so we are on Angela's website, stylewithangela.com. Immediately, lover of style, sustainable fashion expert. So you're talking about yourself, but in a really, really broad way. Love the fact that there's a photo of you. But the first thing that makes me think, just by looking at this, there's not enough information. I'm just like, is this a blog? Or is this a business? Because right now, I'm not seeing a business, Angela. I'm seeing a blog.
Yep.
My second question would be, what the hell do you do? Okay, you're a sustainable fashion expert. Your job title's right there. But I actually have no clue what very specific problem you fix. And that needs to come out loud and clear. What I usually call this formula is called the salt in the wound formula. What I want you to do is, what is the one thing that is hurting my best clients? And I want you to put salt in that wound and elbow drop it and just make it hurt really, really badly. That's what I want to see on your homepage. And that's going to scream out, this is the thorn in your elbow. I'm going to pull it out. It's going to hurt. But this is how you make change happen. But I think the problem you're experiencing right now is you don't know which problem to focus on right now, because tackling the corporations is a whole other beast compared to working with people one-to-one. So you don't have to pick a side right now, Angela. You just have to know what is the thing that I am really passionate about fixing right now. And then you can kind of like have a story arc around how you help individuals and how you help corporations. You need to know where you stand in this matter. So if you're able to answer that, you're able to then figure out, you know what, this is the thing, this is the thorn that I pull out, and this is the thing that I'm going to use on the homepage.
Yes.
All right. Angela's writing a lot of notes, folks.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, I'm quiet. I'm writing notes.
Yeah, good. Next, you put down repair, refine. Great. But why? Why is this important? So I think this is the next layer of, okay, so this is really, really big problem. Let me tell you why. And then, Angela, talk about your experience. 10 years working in New York, worked with really big names like Ralph Lauren. You can say that they're a big global brand. Use them to kind of like add to your credibility, because this is going to be the reason why people would rather work with you than another personal stylist that actually doesn't have any of those experiences whatsoever. So you've been in the belly of the beast, and I want you to be able to like really use that to your advantage now. And this is how you're going to like level up your credibility. And then what we can then I think moving away from all right, I'm a personal stylist and I work with individuals one-to-one, that no longer becomes the main selling point. The selling point becomes, there's a problem with the fashion industry. Here's all the reasons why, maybe 5 bullet point reasons. There's a lot of ways. Did you know that? Have you ever wondered how? Like, get people curious about what you do through the lens of your clients, and then talk about, okay, so that's the bigger global issue. Next is, the individual issue. So the individual issue is, okay, closet revamp. I have no idea where to start. I don't know what my style is. I have, my clothes no longer fits me. Those are micro issues that individuals go through. Of course, you can help them with that. But the biggest piece is, I don't have an identity right now. Fix their identity first, get their confidence up through their choices. But the added value that you add, Angela, is, what? I worked in the fashion industry. Not only do I know what would look great on you, but I want to ensure that you are also making conscious choices so that when you choose something, you feel not only good about yourself, but choices that you've made consciously.
Yeah.
So you're now like layering up the reasons why people would want to work with you. Because you said fashion is very emotional for a lot of people. Elbow them now, elbow drop them, make it hurt.
So question about, I know you talk a lot about your business brand and your personal brand. So I'm kind of like a mix of both, right? And what you finally got down to at the bottom of my site was the about me, right?
Yeah.
Talking about working in the industry and, why I do what I do. I have received feedback to break that into a separate about me page. Which has reasons behind it, right? But you were mentioning kind of like leading with that, or keeping it higher up, like this is why me. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think your homepage, Angela, needs to be the headquarters. It's a quick preview of who you are, what you do, who you serve, and how you serve. Now, having an about page is absolutely fundamental, because then you can talk a little bit more detail about how you work with people, why you work like this, who was Angela before this business came into her life, because everyone likes hearing that kind of like underdog story. And then repositioning you as the expert. Yes, you call yourself a sustainability expert already. What does that actually mean? Like, let's add some fire to that, because right now, let's go back to your website. I saw your about page. Angela, this is a snooze right now. It's like about me. Hey there, stop it. Like, okay, I want to just punch them in the face. Like, hey, there's a huge problem in sustainability, and I became part of that problem. That's a really good hook. You want to hook your whoever's on your website in immediately. And that doesn't just apply to your website, Angela. That also applies to LinkedIn. Any sort of, you mentioned, you have some portfolio pieces, all of that needs a hook. I was part of the problem, and I want to fix this right now with you. You're not doing it for them, you're doing it with them. It's a partnership. So you're putting yourself in the same position as them. You're not undermining their part in this, but you're also not giving yourself like an extra like boost to say, hey, because I'm the expert, shut up and listen to me. Let me do everything for you. Because in that way, they're going to expect you to do a lot more work, and you don't want to do extra work. You want to like get the work done and peace out and go find something else.
Go vintage shopping.
Vintage shopping, and do some fun stuff. But I think you can talk about your values without saying, hey, this is what my values are, because this is exactly what you do here, right? I believe deeply that helping women bring their core values like sustainability into wardrobe is my calling. I don't understand what that means, actually. I have no idea what that means. Why should that even matter? Why should this be a core value? How is this your calling? So it's you talked about how you're going back to school with your creative mind in art school. I want you to go all the way back to elementary school now and ask yourself who, what, why, when, how. Like, ask yourself, does this answer these questions? And then say, why, and then. If you are able to answer these questions in the most like basic way, other people will see your story for what it is and going, oh my God, Angela's got a story. And then guess what, Angela? You mentioned that you want to be a speaker one day. Boom, this is how you become a speaker. You have something to say. You say it loudly with so much conviction, because your personal brand is no longer talking about, fashion's great and I went to design school and here's my resume, my portfolio. Forget about that. What you're saying is, look, I went into the belly of the beast. I was really fired up working in the fashion industry, and 10 years felt like survival for me, and here's why. I want to talk about not the successes that you had in fashion. Talk about the failures, not your failures, how fashion failed you.
Got a lot of those.
Yeah, I know. I can see it in your eyes, and it's not coming through right now. And you're really playing it safe with your copy.
Yeah.
And your website, girl, there's no personality on your website right now. We need to get rid of that horrible earth tone. Just make it white.
Okay. Yep.
White. But your words need more fire. Okay.
Yeah.
So with everything that I'm saying to you so far, how does all of this make you feel?
I think it is a sort of validation and extra push into the right direction, right? Like I mentioned that I did that website before I really started working with people and knew it was time to refresh, but was like, okay, do I really tear this down to like not even the studs? Do I start from the ashes? Like, do I switch some pictures and like band-aid it? Yeah, so it's validation that my thoughts were correct, and it is some guidance as to how to start doing that. I do think I am. So, one of the things I was working on a lot in last month, actually, the last 2 months, is to build my Instagram presence. So, because I was am juggling this 9 to 5 and building a business, I was super inconsistent. As you know, peaks were really crazy in my 9 to 5. I just like totally dropped off of, making any sort of new content. And so I'm working on that. I have some blog posts that I'm going to add to the website so that I am refreshing it, right? I finally started emailing my email list. It's very tiny, but it'll grow. And really started regularly posting content. And so I've started diving into some of the things that you mentioned, like talking about the things that I'd like to talk about, right? Why is sustainability important? What are here's 3 things you can do today to be more sustainable in your wardrobe,
Angela, you're using the word sustainable a lot.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you? Like in one sentence?
Sustainability is keeping in mind your effect on the environment and the community around you and everything that you do.
Okay, we have to really dumb that down.
Okay.
Seriously, because you're using that word like it's candy. If the average person doesn't really understand what sustainability is, and your key word is sustainability, and this is why it's important, and sustainability, you've lost your audience already. Mm-hmm. So I don't think you using the word sustainability is the way to grow your audience.
Okay.
Right? It's kind of like using a paintbrush. Sustainability is kind of like a tool for you, but it's the reason why you want to create change. It's so that there is sustainability practices. That's the end goal, right? So keep the end goal in mind, but don't force it down people's faces, because a lot of people, number one, don't know what that means. Number two, don't really care about it, because it's like, well, if I want to get into sustainable fashion, this piece of clothing that I can buy from Shine that costs $5 is going to cost 150 somewhere else. It's a budget thing for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And number four, well, it's personal, right? It's a personal choice. If they are made to feel bad about their choice, they're not going to follow you. So we've got to spin it. So how you position yourself is the thing that needs to be fixed. It's got nothing to do with your website, Angela. Your website could have been stunning, but then how you're talking about things, if that's not fixed, you can keep working on your website on and on and on, and you're still kind of like the same problem is being churned.
Question on that. Mm-hmm. So if my target customer is someone who is already interested in sustainability, shouldn't I be speaking about that? So like, I don't necessarily want to be, I'm not trying to convert people who shop at Shein to change their lives.
Yeah.
Would I like to create content that explains why things are so cheap at Shein and all the corners that were cut to make it $5, and the fair labor practices that were ignored and all the danger and safety issues? Sure. Yeah. But I'm not trying to work with people who aren't interested in sustainability, at least somewhat. So how do I? Yeah,
I think you made a really important point. You can use other companies as an example. And I think definitely do. You know what? Let's go to your Instagram page.
Yeah.
All right. So we are on Instagram.com/style with Angela. And Angela, fashion stylist and sustainability expert. They're 2 very different things. Like, fashion stylist, sustainability expert. I'm just like, to me, that clashes a lot. It's pulling you in different directions. And I think that's the issue that you're experiencing right now. It's, well, I want to work with this, but I want to also talk about this, and I want to be able to do this. So you're pulled in lots of different directions. You need an anchor right now to keep you together. Your end goal is, I want the world to have more sustainable practices, right? That's your big end goal. Talk about Shein. Let's talk about Shein. And you know what? Talking about companies like that, a lot of people will, or number one, it's a really well-known brand, super well marketed in the US. and a large chunk of Instagram users will be using or have used them at one point or another. You can actually talk about, I know you use Shane. Let me tell you one thing that they do that you probably don't know about. That could be a content pillar for you. Every Monday, I'm going to talk about Shane and how you can, you can pull them apart, but pull them apart for 30 to 60 seconds every week. And that's it. So it kind of becomes a micro series where you're talking about Shane's practices. And you can also say, guess what? It's not just Shane, guys. It's all of these big global companies. This is how you're going to show up as an expert, because you're not talking about yourself anymore. You're also not talking about the consumer and shaming them. You're shaming the practice of what's happening right now and how American consumers are buying into that. And this is how you level yourself up as an expert.
So I have mixed feelings about the shame thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of shaming that goes on with other people in the space who are, promoting sustainability and better business practices. But I think it can have the opposite effect than you intended. So I don't like shame in your personal wardrobe, and I don't like shaming other people in their choices. Mm-hmm. We can all choose better, including myself. I'm not perfect, right? So I would love to draw people's attention to problems, but I never want to say, like, why would you ever buy something at Shein, right? Or Shein, or however you say it. Like, only bad people do this, which feels to me like the subtext of a lot of these things, right? Like, only an idiot would XYZ. And I never want to do that. I always want to encourage people, like, we have the power to choose with our dollars. So if you feel like people should work in safe working conditions, Shein is probably not a good choice for you.
So we're going to flip it, right? We're not shaming people. And also Shein or any of these companies, Angela, just remember, these are corporations, not people.
Okay? Oh, no, I don't care about that. But I would never want someone, I don't care about the company. In fact, I'm happy to throw shade at them. But people who choose to support that, like, as you mentioned before, sometimes it's about price. Like, they cannot shop at Saks Fifth Avenue. And you don't have to shop at Saks Fifth Avenue to have great style and be conscious about what you're doing, right?
I'm gonna just nail that. What you just said is important, because what you said was, you don't have to shop in these other expensive places to be able to get the same level of style and clothing. This is where they can DM you. If you want a free guide on other alternatives that are budget conscious and still offer a huge variety of styles, download my free guide. It gives you all the options without those shady practices. And this is how you're going to grow your email subscription. So you're giving them information, you're semi kind of like educating people on a company that is widely known, right? Yeah. You're only going to be talking about Shein just because a lot of people know them. That's the only reason why we're focusing on that specific company. And it's also not American made. So like, there's a huge talk about that. Lean into that. And then you're only going to talk about one tiny little thing that Shein is probably doing that most consumers don't know. And that's what you're hitting on. You're not shaming people for choosing them. They just don't know what an alternative is, because their advertising market is so damn good. They've got the dollars to flood your website with all these adverts. So one of the things that you could talk about is, hey, have you ever noticed how when you Google a piece of clothing that you want, all of a sudden for the next 10 days, your internet browser is like flooded with Shein this, Shein that, blah, blah, blah. Here's why this happens. And then you could talk about, well, they've got the advertising budget to do it. And this is probably the reason why you shop there, because you feel like you have no other choice. And then you go down this rabbit hole of, well, you know what? I'm going to check out their website. No harm. Next thing you know, there's 10 items in that cart and 80 items that you just liked. You just spent 2 hours of your life on their website that could have gone somewhere else. They're baiting you in. Don't fall for that. Like, that's not shaming anyone.
Right, totally.
But you're just kind of calling out people's behaviors. And I think by doing this, Angela, repetition is queen. Just keep repeating the same information, because the more you repeat, the more you become an expert. Yeah.
And that's something that's so counterintuitive, right? Because we know everything we do. And so it feels like I just said this, right? Yeah. But even people who enjoy our content are not seeing every single thing, right? And so, yeah, the repetition and the reusing is something that I'm trying to work at, because you spend all this energy creating this wonderful message or information piece or whatever it is, and then it just disappears.
Exactly. And it could be like, I did this 6 months ago. Maybe I should say the same message again, but it's just filmed differently, or it's just like a non-talking reel, but the information is copy and paste. So you're working a little bit smarter. And
Yeah.
the more you repeat something, Angela, the more people understand what your values are, what you stand for, and what it is that you do.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, Angela, we are wrapping up very, very quickly on the Fairy BOSSmother Show. Can you tell me, what is the one thing that you've taken away from our conversation today?
So many things. I think I'm taking away validation that what my internal thoughts were correct, and just the idea of like, okay, now it's time to build it, right? Build the time, plan the steps, start taking them. Yeah. So action, I guess, is my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, yeah. And also the other thing is when people, you're talking about, do I serve individuals? Do I serve corporation? The answer is you serve them both, but in different ways, right? You do not have two websites talking about two different things. Your Instagram is your main portfolio now, because you've already started. You're doing an amazing job, by the way, with Instagram. Girl, keep going. But now you need to like really pull down and like say, right, Monday, I'm talking about this. Tuesday, I'm talking about this. Like, these are your 5 content pieces. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. How you film and the way you talk, that's going to be the things that change, because you're going to find that, you know what, this reel didn't do so well, so I just need to tweak it. And you're making micro tweaks like every few weeks, but the messaging is still the same. You're still talking sustainability without using that word, Angela. That word is banned from your vocab, especially when you talk directly to people, because that's going to be a barrier to a lot of people. And there's also a lot of like climate change deniers out there, and sustainability is part of that conversation. So you don't want to open that can of worm. So what you're really doing is you're making yourself as accessible to people as possible by talking about Shane, by talking about the reason why you can't let go of this sentimental item is this. You're kind of like feeding information into people's heads over and over and over again. You're giving people away freebies on your Instagram with the, hey, if Goldman Sachs, not Goldman Sachs, Sixth Avenue, Goldman Sachs, wrong company. Yeah, if you can't shop in those big, like huge stores, good. I don't want you to, because they have sustainable practices that I don't agree with anyway. But here's, some places that you can shop on, budget friendly, huge range, and Angela Bronza approved, give it away.
Yeah. So Style with Angela is generic, right? Or like more generic. I do have Angela Bronza Instagram handle, personal right now. Like I whatever. Don't really use it. I do have angelabronza.com. Do you recommend I move things, or what are your thoughts about that?
Use everything. Your website can have 1 million domains. It doesn't matter.
True.
It doesn't matter. What matters is, what are you going to call your business going forward now? Are you moving away from the generic like personal stylist thing, or are you giving yourself the level up of actually being credibly the expert that you deserve to be? That's the choice that you need to make. So your domain name, your website does not matter right now. Angela, you need to look deep inside yourself and saying, this is what I want to be known for. Now I'm making that shift.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you do that, then you are able to build your entire personal brand around that. If you want to be a speaker, Angela, start speaking, start talking, start saying your piece.
Yeah.
But loudly.
Definitely.
All right. So do you think you can do this by yourself, or do you feel like you need a little bit of expert guidance to get you there?
I feel like I can do it myself. I think I just need to plan it out. Literally, in the pockets of time that I have, what is my first priority? What is going to bring the most revenue? Like, what makes sense to tackle first?
Yeah, exactly. Because we don't want you working a 9 to 5. I know I don't. I want you to be that household name, Angela, and I know you can get there. Just need a little bit of strategic repositioning, and then you can start building on those layers. All right. So that's a wrap, Angela. Was the gloves on, or
no,
a little harder?
It was good. It was good.
Yeah.
No, it was all really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. How was your experience with the Fairy BOSSmother?
It was fun. It was super fun. And it's so helpful to have fresh eyes, right? Because we don't have that on our own business. And so it's really nice to hear the things that you forget because you're saying sustainability every other word, right? And you forget that people don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, Angela, it seems like you've made a lot of notes. Can I see your notes? I'm curious to see all the pages you've written. Ah, there you go. We got 1, 2, 3. Okay. Well, Angela, clearly you have a lot of homework to do after this call. Cannot wait to see how you transform. And any last words before we close this episode?
I don't think so. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. If you enjoyed this episode of the Fairy BOSSmother Show and you're a small business owner, apply to be a guest on the show and get your very own live brand review. You can apply by going to my website www.bossdiplomat.com or snap the QR code on this video. See you soon.